So, I'm sorry about the shirt. It fits, though. The stream and me, I promise. Yeah. Okay. Welcome. Yeah, as usual, the channel is Chasing Geekdom. Normally, as recently as a week and a half ago, I'm, out in the world, theme park shenanigans and comic conventions and themed race events like the Star Wars Half Marathon. In between time, I will, plop down here on Twitch. Eventually, it gets to YouTube, and talk about those things. Sometimes while playing a video game. Tonight, I will not be, just because there is a lot of photos and videos and all of the things from my recent trip to Orlando. 4 days at Walt Disney World, covering three parks. We'll get back to that. And then 2 days bouncing back and forth between the two parks at Universal. Felt amazing to be back, especially after a year of, streaming and, playing Fortnite and talking about how badly I wanted to get back to the parks. And it was amazing to get back and kind of scratch that itch and just get it out of my system. Don't go to Orlando in July if you have a choice. Yeah, I'm glad I did. I mean, I'm glad I got it out of the way. But holy cow, standing there and it's 80 something and in the shaded open building, and open air building, I should say, and just pouring sweat. But anyways, I'm still glad I did. I'll just from here on keep it to spring and late fall kind of thing, early spring, late fall. But anyways, yeah, normally at this time I would show the channel trailer, but I'm not going to this time because there's content from that trip that's in the brand new channel trailer, which is very exciting. And we'll show that at the end. So we'll go through all of the parks and all the things and all of the stuff that I experienced. I got to remember to talk about security and lockers, because those are security at both parks and then lockers at Universal. I got to remember to talk about that stuff. I should have written it. I'm going to write it down real quick. Lockers. Yes. Lockers at Universal. I'm going to come back to that. And then security. One's good, one's not so great. But we'll come back to it. So let's start. I'm going to jump in at a good old Magic Kingdom. And oh, there she is. Look at that. I mean, it felt so good to get back there. You know? And actually, you know what? I'll talk about security at Disney right now because basically we'll yeah, before you get to that castle, if you're a theme park hooligan like me, that like when you're rolling into, I don't know what it's like at Disneyland right now, but and I'm hoping they're doing that there. But like the one of the biggest hurdles to getting in the parks is like you walk up and you're like, which kind of screening point am I going to choose to get into just the resort area? And they kept expanding those and pushing them back. And it's like at some point they ended up doing it at downtown Disney, and they added extra other checkpoints to get into like Grand California, all that stuff. But in Orlando, they have the same, it seems like the same areas for checkpoints as I was at last time, but they have this new system called Evolve, EVOLV, but without an E at the end of it, Evolve. You just walk right through. There's no like one by one you're getting screened in a wand and all this stuff. You just stream right on through. They say like one at a time, like single file they say, but it really didn't matter. I saw one in every, I don't even know, I'm guessing because I just walked right through and got in the park, but it seemed like of the hundreds of people I was watching pour through, there were like maybe two people off to the side. But like you didn't have to do anything to prepare. You just boop, you're in. And that was amazing. You're walking through these checkpoints, and there's a YouTube video on this Evolve system that they put out. You can just kind of see, like, you just stream right through. My guess is that, like, I guess if I probably, you know, pulled back the curtain on exactly what they were, doing, I probably might have some issues with, like, they're seeing everything. But well, I don't know. I felt really good about streaming right into the park by the time I got there, because holy cow, that's my basically my first kind of observation and what I remember, because I'm a Disneyland guy. I grew up there, and did annual pass guy for a long time, and was there hundreds of times a year easily when I was an annual pass holder. And once you're at the resort and you're parked, it's like you're there. You're there, you're in, and you've got you got the hotels right there that you can duck out to. You got Downtown Disney, all that kind of stuff. It's just all right there. But since Disney World is spread out so much, it's a whole thing. And Magic Kingdom is probably the worst of it, just because you get to parking, and then from parking you have to get to the monorail or a ferry, and then you take the ferry or the monorail to the park. So it's just a bunch of different hurdles, and don't do it in July, because I bet my patience would have been much greater had it been, because I don't remember being that miserable about it when I went in September of a long time ago, 2017. So let's jump into some videos, just to kind of, don't pay no mind to the direction that this train is going. We're going to the park. This wasn't after I was leaving. Okay. So just a little monorail action. It is. So, like, basically this is as I was leaving, but the monorail, when you're going to the parks, is actually, if you look across the water at that other hotel there, I can't remember the name of it. I don't know. Anyway, so this is like one of the hurdles that you got to get back to parking, and then from parking to the parks. So the park would be to the left, and that's the Grand Floridian, which is a beautiful hotel. I stayed there once. Not for my whole stay when I was there that time, because it's expensive, but very cool spot. But yeah, and I don't have a lot of slides as far as photographs from Magic Kingdom Day, because what I observed was that, hey, look, Tomorrowland. So we're in the park now, so I should probably go through those videos. Again, this is like a slideshow, It's just like that random friend of your mom's that comes over and is like, I got my slides from Scottsdale, and then your parents make you sit down and watch this. So, like, but I hope this is a little bit better than that. I hope, just because, it's the Disney parks, and I'm pretty all right. I'm not your mom's random friend. I don't think. I mean, I could be. Well, depending on who's watching, I might be. Now, yeah, let's jump into, so anyways, Magic Kingdom, without small kids with you, when you're going adulting at Disney, it's a half day. It's a half day. I mean, if you plan accordingly and hit all the things that you're not going to be doing much in Fantasyland, you're not going to be doing Mine Train. You should do, because it's a great ride, but it's still, for me, it's one that I want to do with other people. But anyway, I knocked it out in a half day, and you could see as I was leaving that it was still daylight. But yeah, so that's the monorail. And then one of my favorite things is I got my Magic Band here. I'm wearing it. What I noticed with when they got rid of Fast Pass. So without Fast Pass, you use this less. So the touch points are like when you get in the park, which is great because you go through security, nothing. You go boop and you get in, but then you barely use it. So like anytime there was a photograph from a ride and then you go and you're like, oh, I want to link that to my account. I was like, oh my gosh, I get to use my Magic Band again, because it just feels a little bit less fun. But yeah, this is me entering the park.
Right there.
Boom.
Once it goes green, it means you can come on in and have fun.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yep. It's that easy.
Right there.
Sorry about my.
Green, it means you can come on in and have fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you.
See, I'm polite. It's all high and everything. Yeah, this is just, Tomorrowland, one of those walls. It's an Instagram wall. So if you're here from my Instagram homies, hello. You probably know about this wall. It's purple and it's got shapes. People love that shit. Anyway, stuff. I forgot that God kids watch this stuff. Even when I do put at the beginning on some of them that this is not family friendly. Anywho, there we go. And then I'm gonna go back to this bad boy here. So then you're inside. This was a moment. This felt really great. Getting back inside to the parks and just that Main Street vibe felt good. Hello, Mr. B, doing your pollinating thing. Yeah. This felt great. This video is going to get DMCA'd, I already know. Like, I've got Disneyland, Disney World music. I've got Star Wars stuff in here. I got Jurassic Park stuff in here. This is not going to last very long on Twitch. And it'll get demonetized on YouTube. But I'm making it, streaming it. I'm going to post it on YouTube. Hopefully it'll just get demonetized and not fully taken down. But if it does, then hey, you know, I'll have a keepsake. I could send it to all my friends and sit down with, you know, people that don't want to see it and make them watch. Yeah. Anywho. So, yep, Tomorrowland. So, oh man, Big Thunder Mountain. So what did I get on that day? So it was like, of course, Space Mountain, Big Thunder. I actually have where's my list? Nope, not there. Not a lot. It wasn't a lot, to be honest, just because it was like, I was kind of getting through my day. Here we go. Nope, yes, that's the one. Space Mountain, Pirates, People Mover, Big Thunder. That was about it. I mean, I think probably getting used to the weather, and then I also had flown the day before. And when I fly, I need liquid courage to not care about turbulence. So like I was hungover. This was a Sunday, and so the humidity and then my little hangover and everything affected my, you know, stamina, my theme park stamina. But you know, I got in. Yeah, so Space Mountain, Pirates. I did the People Mover and Big Thunder, and then let's get the Big Thunder. As I was going over to Big Thunder, got a nice little chill spot. I did not go on Splash Mountain. I don't know why. I mean, it was probably because I was like wet enough from humidity. But this was a nice spot. On my way over there, I ended up getting myself some, yes, you know it. Got down on some of my good old favorite Dole Whip float. Yeah, all of the things that day, actually, honestly, it was a task just because of the hangover and the humidity combined, and I had lost some of my theme park stamina. It was the first time since 2019, 18? Yeah, I don't even remember. 2018, I think I was, or 19, I might have been at Disneyland. It's been a while. 2019, probably. Yeah. Anyway, but this was nice to get down on the Dole Whip. And then I also did that Stones for the first time, cinnamon roll thing. Not overrated. It's really good. And then the little building, if you get there at the right time, I was there at 10 a.m. and there was like a lot of like air conditioned seating, all that kind of stuff. But that thing was legit. Let's see, what do we got next? Oh yeah, Little Thunder Mountain. You know, just for the feels and whatnot. Ugh. Yeah. But oh yeah, good old Dole Whip. And then of course, you know, the leaving on the monorail. You could see I didn't last very long that day. And then yeah, I suppose that the monorail video now is a little bit more fitting because, you know, that was when I was like, I'm out. Goodbye. And yeah, again, half day, I would say. But security, just that's so amazing, that upgrade that they did. And I'll talk about the security at Universal once I get to that point in this. Still something that's it's just a little easier, as long as you know when it's coming, and then you can kind of plan ahead. But I'll get to that. And yeah, that was the good old Magic Kingdom portion of it all. Felt great to be there, and even though it was such a casual kind of approach to the day, like first theme park day back in ages, I still walked 8 miles. Like I did my Charity Miles app. If you don't have that, download the Charity Miles app and you can connect it to whatever charity that you want to. And as you move around doing anything, running, biking, walking, not driving, it will generate money for them. It's small, little pennies, but if the more you do, the more it raises, and it kind of gives purpose to your moving about. I think Feeding America is the one I have mine connected to, which is cool. And yeah, so moving on. Day 2 was, of course, Disney Hollywood Studios. I did 4 Disney park days, but did not do Epcot. I wanted to do 2 days at Disney Hollywood Studios because I wanted to make sure I got on Rise of the Resistance. And there's a whole basically not lottery system, but it's like a weird virtual queue thing that you get 2 chances each day to get into. But we'll get to that. So I skipped Epcot. Epcot's one that, like, with the right company for me. And I was on my own. I went solo for this because I was kind of browsing the Walt Disney World app back in April, probably. And I was like, oh, what's going on here? And like, I booked it. I bought it. And then I was like, oh, hey, friends and family, kind of hard to wrangle people on something that you do impulsively like that, especially for a trip like that. Anyway, but yeah, here we go. We'll jump in. So Disney Hollywood Studios, I did 2 days. And then in between those 2 days, I did Animal Kingdom. So we'll get to those. And yeah, of course, the highlight for me was the Batu, Galaxy's Edge. I had been waiting for a very long time to wear this jacket that I got at Star Wars Celebration in Chicago 2019. Okay, so it was 2018 the last time I had been in a park. And to wear, the first time I wanted to wear it was going to be at Disney Hollywood Studios or at any Galaxy's Edge, and it is collecting dust for ages. But finally got to bring it. And I'll get to that. Yeah, because it's hugely sweaty July, whatever. And yeah, so we can pop through some of these images, and then I'll basically, like my focus was on, like, once you get in, go to the park, I hung a left. It was all going to be all Star Wars. And then I really wanted to do that Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which I ended up doing, but we'll get to that. So Star Tours, I rocked it, of course, like 3 times. And I got into a boarding party for Rise of the Resistance, but it was a backup because I missed it. So basically at 7 a.m. you can try before you get to the parks, and then at 1 a.m. you can try, or 1 p.m. if you had been to the park already or were in the parks, you can try again. You just it's just a whole thing, and it literally is gone 5 to 10 seconds and it's booked. It's done. That's it. So you really got to be on it. And I'll give some pointers on it while I'm like going through the videos and pictures from Rise of the Resistance, because I did end up getting on both days. And day 1, it was a backup boarding group, which I got at 1. And it basically means that, like, if they get to your group, it was 135, I think. If they got through enough, if the ride didn't break down, throughout the day, they might get to that point. And I was like watching it, and seeing like who was boarding, and oof, got in. But it was a long day before then. So yeah, I rocked some Star Tours. I did that like 3 times. I honestly like it better than Smuggler's Run, the actual like ride mechanism compared between that and that's the Millennium Falcon ride. I actually like it better, Star Tours, because it's rough, more rough. Like the other one is a little bit more soft. I think it has to be, probably because of the people are in control of it, the flight. So I'm like probably can't be as aggressive with people at the at the controls. Yeah, just a little bit. So when you go into, and I'm going to show a video here real quick. When you go into Galaxy's Edge at Disney Hollywood Studios from the Star Tours side, because there's two entrances. There's one from this Toy Story Land and the other one from Star Tours. It's a bit underwhelming, honestly. Like, you go in and it's supposed to be this resistance, secret resistance, like camp or something like that. And it's kind of like, but it's very subtle, is like overstating it. It's like very nondescript. So like this is one of the things that's there, this like A-wing. But here's the, let's see, here's the video. So this is as you kind of you go in, and I was so excited to like do this video too, because it was like, all right, here we go. This is my first view into this. Oh, it's naturey. It's fine. You know, there's not a lot going on, honestly, but the tunnel's cool. If you have like bad weather, because there's always like thunderstorms and stuff rolling through there, you can duck out in there, which is nice. Or right there is where you will end up with like waiting for your boarding party for Rise of the Resistance. So it's a nice place to like wait for yours to be called as well. So, and as you go in, you'll see this ship. There's just not a lot. Yeah, it's begging for something a little bit, because if you go to the other side through the Toy Story area, it's kind of amazing, because you got First Order stuff. It's all right in your face when you go that way. But this like Resistance encampment thing is a bit meh. It's okay, it's fine. Yeah, so you got a couple ships, which is nice. And then there's like a, right where I was standing was like where they have photo pass person, so you can like stand in line and they take a nice picture of you with the ship. But of course, you know, I didn't. I just took a picture of the ship. And yeah, the marketplace. So I ended up going into there's a lot of, basically it's all mobile ordering now for food. And so that was a little bit something to get used to. There are a few places where you could walk up and order, but by and large, you got to do mobile ordering. And then once you get to the window of time when it's supposed to be ready, you then have to be at the place. Then you tell it, hey, I'm here. And then they start preparing it. It's bizarre, but once you get used to it, just be ready to like research in the app, the Walt Disney World app, like all the places that do mobile ordering, that kind of stuff. And so I ended up doing, because I wanted to get this Ronto wrap, which is, I'll show you this video here real quick. They basically use like a pod racing engine. You know, it looks like that's the thing that's supposed to be cooking them, the goods. And that's the meats spinning, but not actually, because that would be unhygienic, probably, and gross. But anywho, yeah, I thought that was a really nice, cool touch. I thought, at least it looks like a pod racing thing. It could be from any kind of ship, honestly. Yeah, but the mobile ordering stuff is like, it's obviously made in bulk, you know, and it's like the things that are going into it are good. So the Ronto wrap was actually pretty good, and I did a breakfast one, and it's just, you know, I mean, it's made in bulk and it's, you know, mass produced, whatever. So it's like, you know, the ingredients are great, but then of course it's going to be maybe lukewarm or whatever. But you know, it's theme park stuff. The good meals that I had, the really nice ones, were the ones that I, you know, barely scored reservations for at like sit down restaurants. So at Magic Kingdom, I did at Tony's, which is right on Main Street. And then I did another one here this first day at the one that's like the 50s diner or whatever. And those places you got like legit, you know, freshly cooked stuff. And that was really good. But let's moving on from there. So yeah, the Smuggler's Run. I mean, it's like, of course, obviously the queue is beautiful. You got the Falcon there. I didn't do this. There is a single rider line, but I did the queue the first time, which was like 75 minutes, but it ended up being 50. And it's beautiful because I wanted to get all of these pictures. Excuse me, and that was important to me. I wanted to be able to get, experience the queue, but it just wraps around and around in the Falcon, and then you go inside. There's some pretty decent stuff in there as well. And I wanted to get that experience at least once before I started hopping in the single rider line, which was cool because then if you do the single rider line, even as a group, of course, they break you up and they put you in where they need extra people. But it was 15 minutes, maybe 10. Again, ride mechanism itself, I would say I like Star Tours better, but it is fun. Like, especially I didn't get to fly it because I want to do that when, I got my homies with me, but I was the gunner both times. Did okay. You just smash. It's just button mashing basically. If a light comes on, you mash it. Yeah, and I obviously wanted to go for the photo op, my first ever finisher medal. That inaugural Star Wars 10K back in 2015, and got that with the Falcon. I thought that was very happy with that. Yeah. But yeah, so we got a little bit of the Falcon here, as you can see, just amazing. There's some details on the other side that I got pictures of that I didn't put in here, but like where you could see that it was damaged from like blasts, blaster blasts. But anyway, she may not look like much, but she's got it where it counts. Am I right? And then once you get inside, this is once you get inside, and this was iconic. You don't get a lot of time you get a little bit more time in those tunnels when you're like waiting in the queue, like this kind of stuff, so you can get photo ops and videos and stuff in these tunnels kind of back a ways before they shuttle you into this part of it. But there is an area where you get like the hollow chest, that part of the chill spot in the Millennium Falcon. You don't get a lot of time in there. So I was lucky that I think I got a shot in here. So that's part of the queue. Pretty sweet shot of the Falcon. And my stupid face. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. There might be more. Oh, right. I have some more videos and pictures from day 2 because this is day 1 there. So we can move on to that first order stuff. So Rise of the Resistance. So this over here is actually where you can get blue milk. And that's one of the few that I saw that you can actually get like walk up and get, but like it's a 15 whatever minute wait, but you can really orchestrate like a very efficient day if you do the mobile ordering, and you have to at most places again, which is cool. But you get the first order in that area. Usually there's like a trooper or two just chilling out, and there's some pictures I can show you later too. And then that's kind of the entrance as you see it from the Toy Story area. So there's a lot more to look at. I just look up and crop out people because it's just, it's overwhelming, the amount of, even with the like controlled with reservations and all that kind of stuff, especially in this area because it's so popular. But yeah, this is all from that other end. So that like Toy Story entrance, and then you go through the marketplace, and there's that, first order store and all that stuff. There's just a lot more over there, as opposed to that Resistance camp that's like, it's okay. Yeah, I dig that little droid spot. And that's just there. I mean, it's not like, I think they had a PhotoPass guy there, but there wasn't really like, it's a really nice spot to get a picture, but it's just like there. And that's what I kind of expected going in from that other end. But it was just kind of, it was just kind of there, Oh, right. And that was Ray. So like, as you go back from that way, back towards the other end where that, resistance, there it is, encampment is, you pass by this scavenger who's up to no good. She does stuff with her brain. I don't know. It's weird. I just kept walking. Just keep moving. Yeah, and there's Buzz. Before we get back to Buzz, do this first order bit. Yeah, this is something that I will say, like, that's not too spoilery about this moment if you've never been on this ride. So there's a point where doors open and this is what you discover. And then there's a moving on to a next thing after this, but they do allow you, and it's designed to allow you because they don't want you just walking right past. They want you to get photos. Obviously, look at this, like, so they give you like a good minute and a half, which is actually a long time to get, if you know what you're doing, to get photo ops and videos and all that stuff in this spot. So like, don't feel like if you see the crowd moving off to the right, like to the right of that ship, you don't have to go right away. Just kind of like make sure you follow them before the next group comes in. But yeah, take your time, get some good footage there. Yeah, really cool. There's more to come on that in a little bit. And yeah, so we got Buzz. Yes, so there is stuff other than Star Wars at Disney Hollywood Studios. It's just, my focus was that, obviously. There's Buzz, and then there's that guy. That's pretty much it. Yeah, so Star Wars looks good on me. Let me get out of frame. You can just look at my face only one time and not twice. Yeah. So what you can't see there is, so that's the jacket I was talking about, my Star Wars Celebration jacket that I was excited. The nice thing is that it got cool enough. It was like actually cold. Like I had that jacket in my backpack, and I'm like, oh, when we got in the queue finally, when my boarding party was called, it was really cold in that queue, and I was like, oh yes, because I heard someone say, because I was going to feel weird about putting it on in that heat, and then I heard someone say, oh, it's cold in here, and I was like, yeah, that's my queue. So I like put the jacket on and everything, and when I took this is just in the bowels of that queue, and when I saw it, I'm like, okay, cool, I'll take a selfie here. And thankfully I was able to use that like blur feature in the background, because there was this woman on the other side that I saw later, who was making just some weird ass face. But yeah, I'm glad I was able to kind of blur that out. Yeah. Yep. And so this is part of that. I'm going to try to I'll show bits and pieces of Rise of the Resistance for those who haven't seen or been on it, but just kind of like out of order and all that, and to try not to give too much away. But it's pretty incredible. And it's really long. So it's like, it's a lot of experiences, and then a few of them are like ride things. But that's, yeah, it's a whole story, and this is part of it. Yeah, there's me and my new family. Sorry, family, actual family, and also chosen family. But yeah, there we go. So we'll get back to Disney Hollywood Studios. There's more there, obviously. Day 3 was good old Animal Kingdom. If you go to Animal Kingdom and don't post a picture of that tree, were you actually there? I don't think so. Like, that's the tree. And this was another kind of short day for me. Really, it was the Avatar thing, and then well, there'll be a picture of it and it'll remind me. But first things first, obviously, was the Avatar area, which is beautiful. When I got there, it was going to be a 185-minute wait for Flight of Passage, but it ended up being honestly just over an hour. So they were fibbing. But yeah, that ride is phenomenal. It's I can't really say that there's one favorite, just because the 3 standouts there are so different. Just in Orlando, because I'm not talking about just Disney. So Flight of Passage, the Rise of the Resistance, and then the Velocicoaster coaster at Universal. All so vastly different. Impossible to say like which one is my favorite. I would say, well, I don't know, what could I go on the most? Would be probably be like if I was able to just get on over and over and over and over again. I mean, that Avatar one, it's really great. It's really great. If you haven't experienced it, it's quite a thing. But yeah, but an hour, it wasn't that bad. It said 185 minutes. That was kind of the trend throughout that whole trip. And then the queue inside, they have creatures. I'm not a fan of that movie or the world, really. I'm not like a big creature or nature. That's why like in Star Wars, like Dagobah and Tatooine, I'm like, you know, I'm not a huge, like, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but like, you know, Bespin was my jam. And then of course everything in space, and then, you know, Coruscant, all that kind of stuff, but creatures and all that. But for some reason, I love the treatment that they do for the attractions though. So maybe that's like, for me, that's the delivery system for those, you know, stories and characters and regions. It's more so for through an attraction and the queue and all that than it is in a film. But yeah, really great, really great. And then of course there is, you know, the part, like the big chunk, the one ride that I have in my channel trailer and have had for years was the Expedition Everest, which almost, quite literally, almost made me pass out the first time I was on it. So the video that is in my trailer that I'll show after at the end of this stream is the first time I was on it, and then I was holding the camera and wasn't nearly passing out and somehow still held on. And then of course, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so insane. Let's ride it 70 times again. And yeah, that was kind of incredible. And then the queue for that. So I did the single rider line for this. It was pointless. So it was like a 50-minute wait. I heard people saying like it was supposed to be an hour. It was 50. I was listening to them as they were getting on, and then hours in the single rider line was 40. So it was like, what was the point really? I don't even know that our wait was any more shaded, but it was, but anyway, the ride is of course, you know, spectacular. I still think Velocicoaster as a coaster is superior, far superior, but still a great story in this one too. That part where you go up and then it's like, oh, you know, the tracks are broken, and then you're at the top of the mountain and all the Nepalese like flags and stuff, all that kind of stuff is up there. We got stuck this time, and we were up there for 2 minutes probably. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have one of those stories. And they didn't, I'm waiting for an announcement. And then there was an announcement. They just finally were like, oh, it just started working. And then you start going backwards. But in the single rider line, just nice and peaceful, chilling. But imagine, you know, 40 minutes of that. I guess it's not that bad, but it was still so sweaty. So sweaty. Yeah. In that area, they have, I think it might be there or might have been in the Africa section. They have a Dole Whip that has rum, and you can get 2 different types. Priorities, right? Yeah. And again, mobile ordering for food. That's where I was when I took this picture. It was a barbecue place. Again, good ingredients wise, but again, mass produced. So it's like, you know, but theme park, what are you going to do? And of course, on my way out, I'm going to do Stuff to Be a Bug because it's not in California Adventure anymore. RIP. Bugs Land is gone. RIP. I remember that first race, that Star Wars 10K that I had that metal picture on from before. First ever race after I lost like, you know, a bunch of weight, you know, health, whatever, transformation, all that. The first time I ever got passed by a speed walker. So I thought, I'm like, oh, I'm feeling good. I've lost some weight. And I can finish I think I did that one in an hour and 10, maybe an hour and 11, you know, for me, that's pretty good right now. I'm not even near that for a 10K. A speed walker passed me going through the Bugs Land area of Disney California Adventure. I'm like, okay, that's a humbling kind of lesson that I needed to learn. But anyways, I digress. I have to, of course, this is under the Tree of Life from the picture from before. And I had to do, Tough to Be a Bug, because it's, it's a classic on my way out. Well, I mean, I'm shopping for my homies, but yeah, sideways, but yeah, there it is. Yeah, moving on. We're going to go back to, this would be day 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, Disney Hollywood Studios. Again, there's that blue milk that I'm talking about. It is as good as everyone says it is. Not alcoholic. One of the things I didn't do was the Star Wars like booze stuff. I figured, that the humidity and what that hangover felt like from my flights that day before at Magic Kingdom, I'm like, let's just stick to, things that'll hydrate and, caffeinate and all that stuff. That blue milk stuff was amazing. It's so good. They have the blue and the green. I just did the blue. That was really good. And yeah, let's see what we got next. That guy, he busted me. That's one of the things that, I mean, if you've been into the parks, they have them at, Tomorrowland and Disneyland as well. They have those little like things that they say, at the data pads. He was pointing at me and saying something about my data pad, which it's my phone, but they call them data pads. But it makes it fun. I thought that there was going to be some sort of show, Kylo, whatever, but no, they just kind of talking a bunch of smack, but it were all empty words. They didn't really make good on, threats of confiscating anything. Yeah. Oh, there we go. So there's the lounge of the Falcon, and you don't get much time in there. I was so lucky that I was in a spot where like people weren't all over it. I noticed that like in the little marketing videos for Smuggler's Run and all that kind of stuff, and like their preview days, like people were sitting there, pretending to be Han Solo, like what's up. But no, they're really marching you through the queues. And if you haven't seen it already, Disney Plus, the behind the attraction for Star Tours episode, they end up getting to the evolution of the Star Wars rides through history at Disney parks, and they get to this one and they describe how they get through like so many people through this ride, and it's kind of incredible, but I won't spoil it. Go watch it. It's really cool. But yeah, here's just a little bit of like, spoilers if you haven't been on it, but some of the flight video from the cockpit of the Falcon. And you've got a couple people in the front as pilots, so one person does the up and the down. It's Hondo. One person goes up and down, one goes side to side. There's 2 gunners that are basically, you can hear my button mashing. And then anytime something lights up, basically you press it. And then there's a couple engineers in the back, so they get 6 people in each flight. I have no idea what the story was, though, to be honest. There's my button. Yeah, so didn't get the whole thing, but yeah, you get the idea. You get to do the hyperspace, which is probably the coolest thing about it. Although you can do it on Star Tours as well, but this time you're in the Falcon, which is kind of amazing. Yeah. So in it, you're basically doing a supply run for the Resistance. And Hondo, who's a pirate, but I guess somehow doing it for good at this point. I don't know. Yeah. So there's that. Still, it's it's a fun ride, fun story. The pre-show's great. The queue is great. Obviously, you can get great pictures. If you had to choose, honestly, just ride itself, I still like Star Tours better. Because it's like not a choose your own adventure. There's like so many different destinations that you're going to go to as well. I think that with Smuggler's Run, I think the one thing that I want to like check off is like actually, being one of the pilots. And when I go back with homies or family or whatever, I'm going to do that. Make sure that make that happen. Yeah, a lot of fun though. And then of course, again, like make sure, give yourself a minute, take pictures, get video of all that in that spot. Because you're, okay. Is that spoilers? The First Order is in charge at this point, and even they're not rushing you. They're just kind of like there. And then just make sure, like I always made sure I was in the back of the line. I let everybody like do their thing and go through, and then just make sure you follow your group when you can, or before the next one comes in. Yeah, but take your time. Take your time. Presented without context. Yep, that's all. Also, taken under duress without context, though. Yeah, if you've been on it, you know. If you haven't, you should. Yep. I should, again, under great duress, I should mention, so the tips that I have on getting into a boarding group for Rise of the Resistance, because it's tricky. So you're in the Walt Disney World app. Go to, I should have videos of this, but I don't. There are videos of this on like YouTube, people going over it. It's doesn't really necessitate a full-on like long video. So when you get in the app, actually I'll show you. Let's see if I can get this on camera. When you get in the app, just go to, you'll see virtual queues or just this, can you see it? Rise of the Resistance thing? Yeah. Anyway, when you go in there, just hit join, and it'll bring up this join virtual queue thing, right? And the only one that they have, the virtual queues at the moment, is for Rise of the Resistance. So that'll be there. Then you just basically, right at 6:59 and 30 seconds, you basically start scrolling. Like you pull down, you refresh. But yeah, have a little, like once you get to 6:59 a.m., have a timer on some other device and hit start. And then when you get to around 45 seconds, and so 15 seconds till, just start doing that scrolling so that you know. And because literally if you start doing it 10 seconds after, 10 seconds after it turns into 7 o'clock, it's going to be full. Also do it on an iOS device and not Android, because Android, I noticed, and someone mentioned it and I'm like, you're crazy. And then I tested between the two. When you refresh on Android, it's way slower, because you do a refresh and then there's like, it'll load and then it'll show the time. So like, for instance, I refresh, shows the time, refresh, shows the time it updated. So that's how slow it is on iOS or on Android. But then let's see if I can get this. Here we go. Do I still have that app? I think I do. It's a lot faster is what I'm saying on iOS. That refresh, it's like, I think I have it around here somewhere. Yeah. Oh, no, that's Disneyland. You'll have to take my word for it. But it's a lot faster. It's like refresh, shows the time, refresh, shows the time, refresh, shows the time. So every time it shows the time, it's like showing the time that it actually accessed that queue again. But iOS or on Android, it's very slow. So do it on an iOS device, again, 15, maybe 30 seconds before it's going to hit that time, hit 7 a.m. And yeah, so it worked for me both times. The first time I tried to do it on Android. I ended up getting in that backup group at like 1. And then when I did it on iOS, I got into like group 40. Anywho, but there are videos on YouTube. You can check them out. But again, iOS, set a timer for a minute before. Once you get to 30 seconds or 15 seconds before, start doing the refreshing, and you'll have your best shot at getting in. Yeah. I was in a queue for another ride at like 1 o'clock I had already gotten into a group. Actually, I had already ridden a ride, and then I was in a in a queue for another ride at like right before one, and I'm like, why is everybody like suddenly looking at their because they were trying to get into a group, and then you watch like pockets of people start cheering, and then other pockets of people, putting their heads down, and it was kind of funny. Yeah, that was neat. That was the ride. It was for Tower of Terror. Yeah, and I was watching all the different pockets of people. Like, yeah, um, yeah. That Tower of Terror was interesting because like the whole story behind it is that you're like this tower gets struck by lightning, and when you're in this elevator thing, and there was a storm. Like, there's always storms coming through, and while we were right before I got into like the building part of the queue, I noticed that like the outdoor vendors that don't have shelter were closing, because that basically means it's like it's not just raining, but like basically probably an OSHA thing where they had to like seek shelter. And then right as we were getting in, there was like probably a 5 mile away lightning, and you could hear it just cackling overhead. That was pretty cool because it added to the whole like drama of the ride and everything. Yeah, Rock and Roller Coaster, of course, is amazing. That's a must. I wanted to make sure I knocked out all the Star Wars stuff on one day, and then I went back and did all the basically the other side. You can do this park in one day, obviously, a very full day. But this is like that's the park to do your adulting, and because it doesn't have a lot of like the kids stuff like they do at Magic Kingdom, depending on their age. But yeah, let's take a look at. Okay, yeah. So the next, basically this is going to be is a video about basically the pre-show for Rise of the Resistance. So we're kind of going back a little. So again, if you want to avoid spoilers, this is basically setting up the whole story, and it's got BB-8 and Ray and a bunch of people. So like skip ahead a little or close your eyes or mute or whatever if you don't want to like spoil that.
Incoming transmission from Ray. Unit, is everyone assembled? Good. Should you be in flight prep? Recruits, thank you for joining the cause. A covert resistance team led by my friend Finn has infiltrated a First Order Star Destroyer that is now headed to this system. Your outpost on Batu is no longer safe. We have transports waiting to take you to General Organa's secret base on Pokhara. I'll regroup with you there. The Resistance desperately needs your help in our fight against Kylo Ren and the First Order. Remember, it is vital that you keep the location of the Pokhara base secret. Lieutenant Beck, one of our top commanders, will lead you.
Affirmative. Transport is ready. Lineman and I shall personally see them delivered.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Welcome to the cause. May the Force be with us.
Commander Paul Cameron and a squadron of X-Wings shall escort us to the rendezvous point on Pokhara.
Roger, this is Black Leader. I hear you're a fine-looking group of recruits. Well, no time to waste. Let's get you on your way to the General.
Stand.
So there you have it. That's the setup. She tells you to keep this base a secret, but I mean, there's really not a lot to talk about because it's again nondescript. Yeah, they took it too literally. Secret base, too literally. Maybe it's so secret that they didn't want to. Anyways, yeah. So let's see what else we got. Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror, classic. That's another episode of that behind the attraction on Disney Plus to watch. A really good episode is the Tower one. I had no idea. Like, I knew that there were other ones in other parks, but there was a little tidbit in about the height of the one in Orlando, which is really cool. And an old friend, an Imagineer, Dave Durham, is like in that one here and there. He worked on the queue for at least that's part of what I know that he did for the one in in Anaheim. But yeah, he pops in there and talks about. I won't spoil it though. I'm a purist, but it talks about what, like, just basically using the same canvas, which is this tower for all of these different stories, which is a pretty cool. It's a good app. Definitely check it out. Back to the blue milk. So that was it for Disney Hollywood Studios, except for, and this is another silly but Disney spoiler. This one's going to get me. I've already gotten DMCA'd, I'm sure, and taken down for anything that I try to upload from this, because I've got Star Wars and Disney in here. This is going to be another one, a Disney version, because this is Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. This is the finale. So if you don't want spoilers, you haven't been on it, you don't want to see it, yeah, this is like a finale song. I won't tell you all about it. It's really cool. Like, I knew that it was going to be great. I'd seen some kind of behind the scenes making of stuff with like Imagineering. But yeah, it's really sweet, but like really impressive. Some of the touches that they do, and like the pre-show, the pre-show, but then of course through, the ride itself, the attraction itself. But this is the finale, so you don't want to be spoiled on the finale song of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, then you might want to mute. Yes, nice. Yeah, good job, Disney. But yeah, that was it. That was it for my Disney days. We'll move on to Universal Studios at the Dockside. And Dockside and Surfside were the two, and there's two big towers for each of them. And then right at 7 a.m., the buses start showing up. And they basically, these were right over the freeway or something, basically, from the resorts. And then their other hotels were much closer but much more expensive. But still, it was like a 5-minute ride to get over there. So this is obviously Gringotts Bank.
Very well. To have your Gringotts identification first.
Love it. Glory. That was cool. And it's cool that you're riding an actual moving train, and that they give you the story. And the story is, I'm going to get just that little note of Harry Potterness. The 7th thing that will get this video taken down real quick. But, and it's a different story going in each direction. So this was, you're getting on, you're going to school, and then on the way back, it's another story. One of them has Dementors, one of them doesn't. We won't get into that. But some of the effects and stuff that they do is like really cool. Here we go. I was kind of hoping like there wasn't a bird in the area, but it seems like, yeah. Don't call PETA. All right, so now we're moving on to Islands of Adventure. So this was the landing spot once you take the Hogwarts Express to Hogsmeade. I did that the first morning, actually, and so I did the Escape from Hogwarts, and then jumped on the Hogwarts Express, came over, and then was immediately, this is like 30 minutes maybe max, into the first pre-park hour that I had, and the line for the Hagrid thing was already over an hour. Well, it said over an hour, but it ended up being about 40 minutes. Worth it, worth it. I mean, it's a fantastic ride. That Hagrid's motorbike thing. Skip the Flight of the Hippogriff. That is a 2-year-old's ride. Seriously, it's 30 seconds long. Don't do it. Like, maybe if you have a kid with you who's insisting and he's 2, if he's 2, probably can't go on it. But anyways, just skip Flight of the Hippogriff. But Hagrid's motorbike adventure is awesome. Yeah, let's see. What do we got here? Of course, yeah, you got the Hogsmeade, similar to, the Hollywood Park. And all the same stuff, So you've got the 3 broomsticks. You've got whatever the wand shop experience is. When I think that's there and not Diagon Alley. Maybe it's in Diagon Alley there. Maybe it's in both. I didn't really pay attention. And then they have the Harry Potter and there's another ride inside of Hogwarts. I don't remember the name of it. So this was Potterhead Running Club. It's a virtual running club. So like every race that they do, basically you, if you're not familiar with virtual races, you register, you run the distance, and then they send you the finisher medal. Potterhead Running Club, they have a bunch of other kind of fandom themed running clubs, this company, but the Potterhead one, every race they theme it after a different charity, and then I think the majority of the money that you pay for your registration goes towards that charity. But anyways, I did this 15-mile, not at once, I did it all and kind of blocked up in a bunch of different training runs, and made sure I got my photo op in front of Hogwarts there, obviously. I'll remember the name of the ride inside of that castle at some point. Harry Potter and the something journey. Nope, it's not there. Yeah, moving on. We get to the most important part of this park for me. Second most. Spider-Man. We'll get to that. The Velocicoaster, I didn't think I was going to go on it. I was just like having lunch in that area, and I talked to a guy while I was buying my Jurassic Park Mr. DNA stuff, and he was like, you gotta, like, he's similar to me. He was like, the guy that worked there, he was like, it's when you get a lot of the G forces, you get a little like, ooh, I get woozy, and I'll still go on it, but he was like, it's so smooth but so fast, and it's amazing. 0 to 50 in like, I don't even know how many seconds. And that's the first launch. There's a second launch at speed, which is from 50 to 70. And they hang you upside down at some point over water. It's insane. And it's only a lap bar. It's just a lap bar. And I honestly felt like I was coming out of it a couple times, and then for some reason that made me want to go on it like a bunch more. But I only got to go on it once because the next day it was closed for like, I was going to go there first, and then it was closed for half the day. But I digress. Here's the classic. This is another DMCA moment from Chasing Geekdom. Yeah, that shit's getting taken down. There's no way this video is staying up. Yeah, so there's the 2 Jurassic rides. There's this one, and then there's of course the classic like river water ride. I didn't go on that because I'd done it in Hollywood enough, and I wanted to get like to a bunch of other stuff. But for the Velocicoaster, let's see, do I have another one? Yeah, that's part of the queue. And then in the back, you can see a little bit, kind of see Mr. DNA in the background. He's a big part of their little pre-show. And there's a lot of merch that you can get. And I got a shirt. You can see, you can't really see him in the shirt, but yeah, it's impressive. It's very impressive. This one, yeah, again, the locker thing, it's just the small ones. So just make sure, you don't have things that of value. Here is one of the videos from that. it's hard to just it's yeah. There's like a zero gravity moment at the top there, just by the way they spin you around and then hang you. That's more of what they do. That's like they do the zero gravity more so than the like press you down in your seat type gravity, which I liked so fast. Yeah, so fast. So that was I can't wait to go back there and go on that ride again. Okay, before we get back to that, let's do just one quick while you're in the queue. Going right after that point, it flips you over. So you're going 70 miles an hour, and it flips you over upside down and hangs you over that water for a few seconds, which is one of the moments when I thought I was going to slip out. It's fun. It's a good time. Yeah. All right. Enough of that screaming. Okay. Yeah, I can get into the. It was very refreshing. At one point, it was difficult to get from the Harry Potter and Jurassic area to this Marvel island, like they call it, like Marvel Superhero Island or something like that. It's just another section, basically, because you have to go through this. I can't remember what Popeye themed, I think, maybe area. It's like, imagine if they put Toontown in Disneyland as a section, then you had to walk through one adultish area, not you know what I mean, like non 3-year-old area to another. Horrible. Anyways, very rewarding once you got there though, because I love the MCU, the films, all that stuff mean a lot to me, of course, but it was refreshing to go back to the comics, and they go back to like the classic versions, comic versions of these characters. So the first thing that I saw was and I wish I would have gotten a picture, costumed characters doing photo ops, and it was Captain America and I think Rogue, an X-Men person, and they were in the classic stuff, and it was like, oh, this is cool. And then as you walked through, they had this battle, just in these huge characters on the side of these buildings. This battle, I think, yeah, so it's got Cap, and he throws his shield at, is that MODOK? So you got Thor. Of course, Thor is like, he's backing up his bro, but Cap didn't need no help because he's just like, badoink, which was really cool. And so you get all these classic characters, and then that brings you to, let's see, I think the Spider-Man one is next. Yeah. So I really want to talk about this ride. So this is very similar to the Transformers ride, as far as the ride mechanism is concerned, the way that the story is told, the queue, all that kind of stuff. So it was written, produced, made in 99, and as you're in the queue, I was in the single rider line and was blazing through, but I was still catching all of the backstory, what they were giving in the queue. So there was it was the old school, like in the queue is an old school cartoon that was telling the story of something that was happening. There was an attack in a big city. I don't think they would have been able to produce this post 9/11, but it was so good, and I was only catching glimpses of these performances because it's like every once in a while you get these voiceover performances that are like, oh wow, that was really good. I had never had a gut punch like this one. There was it was a newscast lady, and she was talking about there was an attack. I think the Green Goblin was doing something to, because it was just a glancing, like me going through, and I'm like, oh, there's the story. The Statue of Liberty, they were doing something to the Statue of Liberty, and there was this one woman, I really want to find out who this actor is that did this, because she did this, it was very short but very impactful reaction to it that felt, I know, trigger warning if you're still with 9/11 and all that kind of stuff, but it felt not necessarily like it did that day. I mean, but it's the only reference point that I have that I was just just a punch to the gut. I'm like, wow, that was like one line that she did. I don't remember what it was, and I was just so impressed. So then I got back to, of course, the characters in it are great, and the voice performances within the attraction itself are great. And they do this like 3D animation version of like the classic versions of these villains and everything, which was so cool. And they went dark. They went like very gritty, and not just, and it was sold by the voice actors, which was incredible. Which is why I looked up and I grabbed this, from IMDb, and I'm sad that like my stupid face is covering Stanley, because it was amazing, because you get a little bit of Stan as like the announcer, but then there's a moment in the ride itself where he shows up, which was so cool. I did not expect that, and it was such a great moment. But like, just shout out to all these voice actors. They were incredible. And they just went real raw. And I think that they probably did that more in like the animation, back in that time. But it packed a punch, and it was so fun. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure to shout out to these voice actors. I don't know that any of them were the woman that did the voice of that newscaster that really, did the gut punch. But someday I'm gonna find out who that was, and just, tell her that she was kind of amazing. Let's see, is there more? All right. So yeah, I mean, obviously Universal at night. There was only one night that I didn't close the park. Yeah, I did. Islands of Adventure, I did. Yep. Let's see, what else do we have left here in the video department? So just the Hogsmeade stuff. It's again, if you've done the Hollywood one, you're gonna spend some more time Diagon Alley, just because they don't have that there. Hopefully they will. I don't know why Disney or the Universal Hollywood has, no offense to fans of this, but the stunt water thing, why is it still themed after Waterworld, or has it changed? I don't understand. Like, Waterworld was a trash movie, and I don't know why they don't retheme it or just remove it so they can have a Diagon Alley perhaps, but what do I know? Of course, I had so many butterbeers, and of course I had to show one off. Here we go. So we'll leave that one there. That Hagrid ride, it's great. It's really fast. It's smooth. There's basically the ride contraption it's a side by side, so you've probably seen it. So there's one person who's driving, and there's another person who's sitting in the little thing. It's very fast. It has like that launch, and then it has another kind of one, because he hits the thing and the flames come out. Doesn't actually, but you get that sound effect. And then it also does the backwards thing, and there's some other surprises in there that I wasn't expecting, which I won't spoil, so that you can go ride it yourself. When you're in the queue, though, it's pretty cool. There's a point where I think he's teaching Hogwarts students, how to ride those little cycles. And so it's supposed to be happening like above you, like outside and above you, this thing. And that's what this video is. There was some audio, like you could hear him teaching them, saying things to him, but like it didn't pick up. So, but that's them like flying around these little motorbikes. But the last video, it's pretty quick, but you can just see like that, and they march through the queue really fast. I'll be kind of fascinated to see how they manage the queues here. But this is the last video before I jump into the new trailer, which I'm very excited. Some people have seen it. You can find it on YouTube, youtube.com/chasinggeekdom. All of the things. So chasinggeekdom.com. I did a little write-up about the Star Wars experience in particular. Twitter is where I hang out a lot, and then Instagram again, Chasing Geekdom, all of the things. And there will be more actual out and about coverage again, unlike last year. Here we go. Off into the sunset. Very smooth but fast, and like you do get a little like the press down G-forces, but not like that Everest ride or anything like that. Very impressed with the whistle. It was so great. Yeah, very, very, very cool. But yeah, I think at this point, I think it's time, you know? Thank you for hanging out. If you're discovering this on YouTube, I will at some points be, you know, streaming actual video games on Twitch. And when I do in the in-between times, it'll be, you know, talking about the geek stuff while I play probably Fortnite or Fall Guys or something that I'm just goofing around with. I'm not very good at any of them or taking any of them very seriously. Yeah, so I'll be there on Twitch. But again, Twitter, Instagram, all the things, Chasing Geekdom, chasinggeekdom.com, where I will actually be putting more content out now that there's shenanigans to get up to. But thanks for hanging out. I will now show this brand new trailer, which I'm so happy has new footage, new content, channel trailer, 1.5 minutes. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you guys next time.